ESPN just told the shocking truth as to why Sandy Brondello was let go by the New York Liberty.
Imagine this. You're the head coach of a professional sports team. You take a franchise that has never won a championship to the finals 2 years in a row. In your third season, you finally break through, delivering the first title in the team's history, and you're celebrated as a hero with a parade through the city. Then, just 1 year later, you are unceremoniously fired. It sounds impossible, right? A nightmare scenario that defies all logic in sports. But this isn't fiction. This is exactly what just happened to Coach Sandy Brondello and the New York Liberty. And the real reasons behind her shocking exit expose a ruthless new reality in the WNBA. If you think winning is everything, this story will make you think again. Stick around, because the truth behind this decision is more complex and startling than you can imagine. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the biggest sports stories.
Let's head on over to ESPN to see what Alexa had to say.
For a lot of folks this morning, a year removed from winning the title, what exactly led to the parting of ways between the Liberty and Sandy Brondello here?
Well, Malika, I know you guys talk about this a lot in the NBA and in other sports, but it was really championship or bust for New York and for Sandy Brondello. And in fact, if they hadn't won the championship last year, we might have been having this conversation a year ago.
While General Manager Jonathan Kolb publicly framed this as a proactive move for evolution and innovation, a deeper look reveals a far more complex and shocking backstory. Kolb stated the decision was in no way punitive, but was instead about positioning the Liberty at the forefront of an ever-evolving WNBA. He presented it as a cold, strategic calculation necessary for long-term sustainability, a fork-in-the-road moment where the organization chose to embrace change rather than stand still. However, the most jaw-dropping revelation came when Kolb admitted that a coaching change was very much under consideration last season. This means that even as Sandy Brondello was steering the team towards historic 2024 championship, the front office was reportedly contemplating her dismissal. The fact that a coach came perilously close to being fired on the heels of delivering the city its first ever title is virtually unprecedented in American professional sports and forces a critical question. Was this truly about innovation, or was it a decision that had been made long before injuries ultimately derailed their title defense?
Alexa from ESPN tweeted out earlier today that Sandy Brondello was let go. And the Indiana Fever, and the New York Liberty released the article as well, stating that they had let her go.
This context suggests the front office's vision for the future may have been set on a different course for some time. To truly understand the shock of this decision, you have to examine the brutal circumstances Brondello and her team navigated in the 2025 season. The Liberty didn't just underperform. They were decimated by forces largely beyond any coach's control. The team started the year on fire with a franchise best 9-0 record, looking every bit the dominant champions they were expected to be. Then, the injury bug struck, and it struck hard at the team's very core. The Liberty played the entire season without starting wing Betnijah Laney Hamilton, a key defensive piece from their title run. The crisis deepened as former MVPs Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart each missed 13 games with severe ankle sprain and a bone bruise in her knee, respectively, while superstar guard Sabrina Ionescu was also sidelined for a critical stretch. The result was a record-tying 18 different starting lineups, a revolving door of players that made consistency and chemistry nearly impossible to maintain. The front office itself has admitted to struggles in signing replacement players, leaving the roster stretched dangerously thin. This context of relentless adversity makes their first-round playoff exit to a tough Phoenix Mercury team understandable to most observers. But it seems it was all the justification the Liberty's management needed to execute a plan they had been considering for over a year.
There could be some drama somewhere down the line between front office and Sandy. That's the only way this makes sense. Because prior to her winning last year, she had went to the WNBA championship the year before that as well. So you mean to tell me you're going to fire a coach for going to the WNBA championship 2 times in a row? She done won more games than any other coach in franchise history. And she simply only lost in the playoffs because of injuries. Like, there was nothing from her to cause the loss that
The decision becomes even more baffling when you consider the reaction from the people who mattered most, the players. This was not a coach who had lost a locker room. In fact, it was a complete opposite. Immediately after their final playoff loss, superstar Breanna Stewart was unequivocal in her support, stating, "She has our back and we have hers," and praising Brondello's positive attitude through an incredibly difficult season. Veteran point guard Natasha Cloud was even more forceful, declaring every player loves her and demanding that fans and critics put some FING respect on her name. This clear and passionate backing from the team's leaders creates a stark disconnect. It paints a picture of a united players group standing firmly behind their coach, while a separate, disconnected front office made a cold, calculated business decision.
That is so crazy. They fired this lady for losing in the playoffs when it wasn't even her fault that they lost. I just cannot get over that, bro.
This kind of rift can be toxic for a team's culture and immediately raise major questions about how this would affect the loyalty of the very stars of Liberty need to build around. If the players' vehement public support could not sway the front office, it signals that the decision was driven by factors that had nothing to do with the locker room's unity or belief in their coach, potentially alienating the franchise cornerstones at the worst possible time. Now, the Liberty face a future filled with immense risk and uncertainty. General Manager Jonathan Kolb has stated the organization has a very clear vision and acknowledges that we need to nail this hiring. The search is expected to be wide-ranging, with reports indicating the Liberty are particularly interested in candidates with NBA experience, a trend we've seen with other teams. This opens up intriguing possibilities, but also represents a huge gamble. Replacing a proven winner with a coach who may be unfamiliar with the unique nuances of the WNBA is a dangerous game. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Nearly the entire Liberty roster, including Stewart, Ionescu, and Jones, are unrestricted free agents this offseason. These are the franchise cornerstones. Firing a coach they deeply respect and trust could easily be the factor that pushes one or more of them to consider a future elsewhere, completely dismantling the super team that just brought New York its championship.
It is the end of an era for sure for Brondello and New York.
Yeah, the Liberty said that the search for their next head coach, it is getting underway immediately.
The Liberty's gamble is twofold. They must not only find a new coach who can meet impossible expectations, but they must also hope that this drastic change doesn't break the trust and shatter the core that made them champions in the first place. While our time in New York is over, Sandy Brondello's story is far from over. In fact, a compelling new chapter is already beginning, with a resume that includes 2 WNBA championships, one in Phoenix and one in New York, and over 270 career wins. She immediately becomes the most coveted coach on the market. In a stunning twist of fate, her firing comes as multiple other teams, including the Seattle Storm and the 2 new expansion franchises, the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo, are all searching for a new head coach. The irony is rich. The Liberty have just handed their rivals a golden opportunity to hire a championship-proven leader. Brondello's ability to build team camaraderie and her proven track record of success means she likely won't be out of a job for long.
I'm sorry. For the life of me, I will not understand how you get fired for losing in the playoffs when it wasn't even your fault that you lost.
In a league where stability is rare, her availability is a seismic event. Let's break down the immediate opportunities. According to reports, Brondello has already received inquiries from the 3 franchises with current coaching vacancies: the Seattle Storm, Portland Fire, and Toronto Tempo. This isn't just a possibility, it's already happening. The Seattle Storm job, in particular, is being framed as a potential perfect fit. Brondello actually finished her decorated playing career with the Storm back in 2003, so a return would be a homecoming of sorts. Furthermore, Seattle's general manager, Talisa Rhea, has made it clear that she expects the team to contend for a title, a mandate that perfectly suits a coach with Brondello's championship pedigree. She also has existing experience coaching Storm guard Skylar Diggins from their time together with the Phoenix Mercury, which could make for a seamless transition. Then there are the expansion teams. For a new franchise like the Portland Fire or Toronto Tempo, hiring Brondello wouldn't just be about getting a coach, it would be a statement. She would give a brand new organization immediate credibility with the unprecedented wave of veteran free agents hitting the market this offseason.
New York Liberty coaching candidates after firing Sandy Brondello: Becky Hammon and Don Staley. I don't see Don Staley coming to the W. I really don't. I don't think they have enough money for Don Staley. Don Staley is a different class of coach. I can definitely see Don Staley going to the NBA though. I can see Dawn Staley definitely going to the NBA. I cannot see her coming to the W. It's just not enough money for her.
She has the experience to help shape an entire roster from the ground up through an expansion draft and free agency, a challenge she is uniquely qualified to handle. While there has been some fan speculation linking her to the Dallas Wings vacancy, the confirmed interest is currently centered on Seattle and the expansion teams. So, what exactly are teams getting when they hire Sandy Brondello? They are getting a proven winner and a leader who has excelled at the highest levels. Her record with the Liberty was an impressive 107-53 over 4 seasons, a .669 winning percentage that speaks to consistent excellence. But beyond the stats, insiders point to her character and approach. ESPN's analysis highlighted that Brondello treats people with respect and brings that dynamic with her every place she goes. She possesses a rare ability to coach veterans, rookies, and everyone in between with equal effectiveness, and her enthusiasm for team building and camaraderie never seems to wane. This is not a coach who loses the locker room. In fact, it's the opposite. Remember, after the Liberty's final playoff loss, stars like Breanna Stewart and Natasha Cloud were fiercely and publicly defending her, with Cloud demanding that people put some FING respect on her name. In a players' league, that kind of unwavering support is invaluable. Her track record of developing talent is also impeccable. During her 8-year tenure in Phoenix, she was instrumental in developing Brittany Griner from a #1 draft pick into a 6-time All-WNBA performer. This ability to nurture superstar talent is something any team, especially one with a young cornerstone like Seattle's Dominique Malona, would covet. This situation also reveals a fascinating power shift within the WNBA. Liberty GM Jonathan Kolb himself acknowledged that the league is changing, noting candidates are now looking at this league not as a stepping stone, but as a destination. By firing a coach of Brondello's caliber, the Liberty have inadvertently proven his point, just not in the way he intended. They've created a situation where their championship-winning coach is now the ultimate destination for other ambitious teams. The very innovation Kolb sought has created a top-tier coaching free agent. For the fans of the league, this is a thrilling development. We often see players move, but to have a coach with 2 championships on the open market is a rare and dramatic event. It sets the stage for a high-stakes off-court battle that will dramatically reshape the league's competitive landscape. Wherever she lands, that team immediately becomes a more serious threat. In the end, the Liberty's pursuit of an abstract vision has provided their competitors with the most concrete asset available, a winner. Sandy Brondello walks away from New York as the franchise's all-time winningest coach, her name forever etched in history as the one who delivered the first championship. She leaves with her reputation not just intact, but enhanced by the shocking nature of her dismissal. The coming weeks will be a whirlwind of speculation and negotiation, but one thing is certain: Sandy Brondello will be calling the plays from a new sideline next season, and the team that secures her services will be getting a leader motivated to prove that the Liberty's loss is their incredible gain, potentially building the next WNBA dynasty. Just not in New York. In the end, the firing of Sandy Brondello is more than just a shocking sports headline. It's a case study in the brutal, often illogical, high-stakes world of professional sports management. The New York Liberty, driven by a philosophy that values a vague idea of innovation over proven championship results, have made a bet that risks everything. They've chosen to dismiss a coach beloved by her players, the winningest in franchise history, on the grounds that the team needed a new direction. This decision has exposed a dangerous divide between the front office and the locker room, and has potentially jeopardized their ability to retain the superstar talent that defines them. It's a stark reminder that in today's sports landscape, even a championship parade isn't always enough to secure your job. But this story transcends one team's controversial decision. It forces us to ask a much bigger question about what we truly value in sports. Is the ultimate goal the cold, hard calculus of perpetual dominance, a machine-like efficiency that demands constant change? Or is it about building something with soul, something with heart, a culture, a legacy, a family? The Liberty's front office, in their relentless pursuit of the former, may have inadvertently sacrificed the latter. They looked at a coach who had mastered the human element of the game, who had fostered unwavering loyalty and navigated a storm of adversity, and decided that wasn't the specific kind of innovation they were looking for. This reveals a potentially fatal flaw in their logic. You can have the most advanced game plan in the world, but if the players in the locker room don't believe in the person drawing it up, it's utterly worthless. The trust Brondello built wasn't a nice bonus. It was the very foundation of their championship run. By dismantling that foundation, the Liberty are gambling that a new system, any new system, will be more valuable than profound human connection that just delivered them a title. Let's be clear about the monumental risk the Liberty are taking. This isn't just about switching coaches. It's about actively choosing an unknown future over a known, championship-winning present. Think about what they walked away from. They walked away from a leader who had the proven blueprint for winning in New York. She knew how to manage the egos of superstars, how to handle the intense media spotlight, and how to scheme against every other team in the league. She was the architect. Now, they're bringing in someone new who will have to learn all of that from scratch. This new coach will have earned the trust of a room full of veterans who just watched their previous leader get cast aside after achieving the ultimate success. They'll have to implement new strategies, new terminology, a new culture, all under the immense pressure of a fan base that expects nothing less than a championship. This isn't a rebuild. This is a recalibration of Ferrari while it's already speeding down the highway. The margin for error is zero. If this new coach stumbles out of the gate, if the players resent the change, if the team chemistry sours, the entire super team project could implode in a single season. The Liberty's front office has placed a massive bet on their own ability to outsmart the entire league. They're betting that their vision of the future is so clear, so precise, that it's worth blowing up a proven champion to achieve it. History is not on their side. For every time a risky coaching change has worked, there are a dozen examples of franchises that plunge into years of mediocrity because they failed to appreciate what they had. The timing of this decision also sends a chilling message to the entire WNBA. The league is at a historic inflection point, experiencing unprecedented growth, soaring TV ratings, and a massive influx of new fans. This is the moment to build legends, to cement dynasties, to create the iconic stories that would define the league for a generation. Instead, the Liberty's choice introduces a narrative of ruthless instability. It tells players, your loyalty, your sweat, your championship blood, and your tears, they don't guarantee you anything. When Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu sit down to decide their long-term futures this offseason, this firing will be the elephant in the room. They now have tangible proof that the bonds they form with a coach, the culture they help build, can be rendered meaningless by a single executive's decision. Why would they sign long-term contracts with an organization that operates with such a short-term memory? The Liberty may have just handed every other team in the league the perfect recruiting pitch. Come with us, where we will value you and the leaders you believe in. So, as we close this chapter, we are left with a defining dichotomy. On one side, you have Sandy Brondello, a champion, a leader of men and women, a proven winner cast adrift for the crime of not being new. Her legacy in New York is secure, and her future is bright with possibility, likely be the crown jewel for a savvy competitor. On the other side, you have the New York Liberty, a franchise so hungry for a future it cannot clearly define that it was willing to sacrifice its most successful present. They have embraced a dangerous game of high-stakes poker, betting their championship core, their fan goodwill, and their place in history on a hand nobody has seen. The Liberty believe they are evolving. The rest of the world is watching to see if they've just made a historic mistake. This is more than a coaching change. It's a philosophical experiment that will be studied for years to come. Did the Liberty just make the most visionary move in WNBA history? A gutsy preemptive strike that will cement a decade of dominance? Or did they just commit an unforced error of catastrophic proportions, single-handedly dismantling a dynasty in the making? The court of public opinion is now in session. What do you think? Was this a bold, necessary step into the future, or a historic miscalculation that will haunt this franchise for years? Let us know your verdict in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this deep dive into the layers of the WNBA's biggest story has made you think, if it's revealed the complex human drama behind the sports headlines, then do us a favor and show some support. Smash that like button, share this video with a fellow sports fan, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. We're just getting started, and you won't want to miss what we break down next. Thanks for watching.